Hello and welcome. Today I'd like to show you how to make this delicious tender slow cooked beef curry. This would have to be one of my favorite beef curries and is a popular recipe in my house. You can have it with rice or rotis. So let's get straight into it. So here's what you're going to need for this beef recipe. Starting with the beef first, I have got my beef from the butcher diced up. You can use chuck steak. This is called knuckle. 2 decent sized onions. I wanted to show you the brand of ghee that I use. It's called Britannia. Now if you don't want to use ghee, you can skip ghee and use oil, but it gives it a different flavor. I've got some dry spices, chillies and some bay leaves, red chillies, which is optional, coriander powder, turmeric powder, cumin powder, ginger garlic paste, salt. There is a few more ingredients which I'll show you in the next step. So let's get started. So here's what you're going to need for the rest of those dry spices. I have got some whole peppercorn, some cloves, green cardamom and a black cardamom, some cinnamon sticks, you get them in the Indian grocery store, mace, which is in the nutmeg family. This is what it looks like. It's very fragrant. You can leave it out if you don't want to buy it, but you can get it in the Indian grocery store. And some fried shallots, which we will use to garnish. You can leave this out if you don't want to get this either. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grind up all my dry ingredients, not the shallots, just all of this. I'm going to dry grind it in my spice grinder, and I will show you when we put that into the curry. Okay, let's heat the pan up, and I'm going to add my ghee. So that was 4 heaped spoons of ghee. And once that's heated up, I'm going to add my bay leaves and 2 chillies. So just fry that in the oil for about a minute or 2 till it releases its aroma. And my onions go in next. Now I'm going to fry these onions till they turn a translucent color. Okay, it's been a few minutes and my onions have softened up a bit. That's already smelling good. Ghee makes such a difference. I can smell the onions in the ghee and it smells yum. Okay, it's time for my ginger garlic paste to go in. I'm going to turn the heat down to low and just fry that ginger and garlic with the onions till it releases its aroma, just for a couple of minutes. So the ginger and garlic have been frying away now for a couple of minutes, and I can smell the raw smell has gone. So it's time now for me to add my dry spices. I've got the chili, which is optional, coriander, turmeric, and cumin powder. I'm going to turn that heat down so I don't burn my spices, and just saute this for a couple of minutes. Now, if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I usually like to cook my beef or any red meat in a pressure cooker because it cooks faster. But today, I'm taking the time and I'm not using the pressure cooker, and I'm cooking it on this pan or pot, and I'm slow cooking it. So this, I'm calling this recipe my slow cooked beef curry because I do have the time and I know it's going to taste amazing. So I'm just going to cook these spices for a few minutes on a very low flame till it releases the oil on the side. So it's been about 3 minutes and the raw smell is gone, so it's time now for me to add my meat. And as I mentioned earlier, this is just a cheap cut of beef. It's called knuckle from my butcher, and it comes all cut up like this. So sear this meat nicely. I have got quite a few beef recipes which I'll link in the description below. So I'm going to give this about 5 minutes until I find that the color has changed. I forgot to add my salt earlier, so in goes the salt. Mix that through nicely. Okay, so that beef looks good and the color has changed. So I'm going to add a bit of water. Now always use warm water, about a cup of water. The beef will also give out its own juices. So I'm going to put the lid on and let this cook on a medium heat for about 20 minutes. And in between I will keep checking on it just to make sure that my water hasn't dried up too much. So I'll see you back in 20. Okay, so this has been cooking away for about 20 minutes. I did check on it a couple of times to make sure nothing was getting burnt down the bottom. So I'm just going to open this lid. I'm just going to turn my exhaust on. Oh, that smells delicious. Okay, this is looking good. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave the lid off and I'm going to completely dry this up. So my meat is not cooked, but I want to fry that meat a bit more. So what I'm going to do at this stage, these are the dry spices that I had ground earlier. I'm going to pop majority of it in. I've kept a bit for later. Now if you don't have a spice grinder, you can still grind it in the old-fashioned mortar and pestle. And I'm going to mix this through. Oh, this smells delicious. You've got to give this curry a try. Okay, I'm going to let this bubble away on a very low flame till it dries up and the oil comes to the surface. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes and look at that. It's completely dried up. All the oil has come to the side and this is looking and smelling good. I love the color. So the three things that we look for in a good curry is the color of the curry, the gravy, the thickness of the gravy, and obviously the taste. So I'm going to put some warm water in. Mix that through. I'm going to turn up the heat to medium or medium to low, and I'm going to let this cook now for as long as it takes. Of course, I'm going to keep checking back every 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to let this cook for a good half an hour before I come back and check. Okay, look at that beautiful thick gravy. That's what I want. The color looks amazing. Okay, look at that. So my beef has beautifully cooked. Now this smells and tastes so good that I would urge you to try this recipe and take the time. It's absolutely delicious. So in goes the rest of my spices that I had saved. Mix that through. Little dash of water, only a teeny bit. Maybe a little bit more water. I'm going to put the lid back on 5 minutes to cook through those spices. Okay, so that's been cooking away for 5 minutes. Let's just check on it. Look at that. That beef curry looks like it's cooked to perfection. It's got the oil come to the surface. It's a beautiful dark rich color, and my meat is beautiful and tender. Absolutely delicious. So last but not least, these are my fried shallots. That goes in, and I'm going to mix that through. And I'll give this about 2 minutes. Now adjust your gravy if it dries up a bit too much. My gravy is drying up a little bit. You can just add hot water like I mentioned earlier.